office at the Dragons. And there's a few other board members on the call. Up in the top left, I mentioned Curry is our office manager. Andrew Watson, who's sharing the presentation with me tonight, is our director of coaching. And we have Adrian as well, who's in the middle of your screen, if it's the same screen as mine. Adrian's director of 4, 5, and 6, so the active start group. If we have new coaches here who are taking active start, Adrian is your age group director. So welcome everybody. I'm going to start off by doing a small presentation about what is it like to be a coach at the Dragons. I have shared my PowerPoint slide screen with everybody. If you can't see it, let us know, but we can send this out later on when it's completed. I can send the PowerPoint presentation to Curry and she can send it out to all of you, so there's no need for you to take notes. If you don't mind, everybody can turn their what did you call it, the microphone off, just so that we don't get any background noise. And if you want to say something, then certainly you can raise your hand and let us know. But we have time at the end for questions for sure. So I'll begin. Thank you for joining us. I've got quite a little PowerPoint presentation. I'm not going to read all of it. I'm going to go over it quickly, but on the agenda, why coach at the Dragons? What does it take to become a Dragons coach? Advantages of being a Dragons coach. Some forms to complete if you haven't already done that. Our head coach incentive program, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Key season dates, which are maybe going to fluctuate a little bit this year. And coaching guidelines. Then we're going to pass it over to Andrew, who's going to talk to you about coaching during COVID-19 with social distancing, at least for the first 3 weeks. The province is is allowing us to go ahead with practices only for the first 3 weeks, and then hopefully when the next phase opens around the beginning of July, we'll be able to go to games. Much like last year, we had practices for the first month and then games for the second month. So we'll get on. So why coach at the Dragons? Get involved in your kids' activities. You're going to be at the field anyway, in theory, if you're taking your child to the game. Community involvement. We are a community volunteer-based organization, and we rely on all of you people who are coaching, volunteer coaches. We are all volunteers on the board of directors. Our only paid staff person is Curry, who's part-time. So we rely on volunteers to bring soccer to all of the kids in the community. We do have Dragons appreciation at the end. If it opens up a little bit, we do have a coach appreciation evening at the end, so that's a great reason, and a great workout too. So if you're looking for exercise, I know we've all been in our homes and haven't been out too much. Now you'll have the opportunity to get a bit of a workout when you go to the soccer field. What does it take to become a Dragons coach? Patience, of course. If anybody who has young kids, you know that you have to have patience, positive attitude, calm temperament, ability to manage different behaviors, and commitment, because it's you're there once a week or maybe twice a week, depending on your age group. Satisfaction from imparting your knowledge to experience your knowledge and experience to the kids. The kids will appreciate your efforts, and of course, as you're a volunteer, it's you get feedback and satisfaction from being a volunteer and providing your knowledge to the kids. Your child can play for free if you are the qualified head coach. We'll get into that later. Qualified by means, I guess, certified is a better word. If you take the proper training, we have a coaching incentive program. And as I mentioned, coach incentive night at the end of the year. We have a few forms to complete to become a coach at the Dragons. You may have already done that, but there may be people on the call tonight who are just wondering whether they can coach or what is involved. So there's a coaching application form that's on our website. We asked everybody who's coaching U9 to U18 to get a police records check. I think it's the third option for a vulnerable sector group. We do not do police records checks for the younger kids because the parent has to be with their child at the field at all times, at the younger groups. But from U9 to U18, we do that. We also say that up until 12 years old, parents should be accompanying the child to the field at all times. So as coaches, you shouldn't be left with younger kids who are under 12 years old under your direct supervision apart from your own child. When we get into the games in July, hopefully, we have a game sheet to be filled out at every game from U8 and up. And if ever there's an injury incident report form for if it happens during game or practice. This is just a little bit of benefit for the players, because if the parents want to submit a claim to the insurance through Ontario Soccer, then Ontario Soccer will require an incident report. Generally, though, in recreational soccer, there are very few incidents to complete. I haven't seen too many over the years, but of course, there's always the odd case. I think I've seen one in maybe 10 years where somebody falls over backwards and maybe breaks their wrist, but not very often that it happens. You can get concussions, of course, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. But you can't diagnose a concussion at the field, so an incident report would be indicating that the player maybe ran into another player or hit heads with the other player and then had to leave the game. What else have we got here? The coaching incentive program, as I mentioned earlier. So this is for head coaches. Our objective is for all of our coaches to be coaching the kids along the Soccer Canada's long-term player development philosophy. All right, so to get the incentive program as a head coach, you need two things. You need to be certified for the age group that you are coaching, and that's through Soccer Canada's online courses. And you also need the there's three things, sorry. The Respect in Sport course, and if you need the police records check, get your police records check. These courses, I think it says on the next slide, you register and pay for the course online. You take the course, and then you send in your receipt and your proof of success in the course, and we will refund you the cost of the course. So the Dragons cover the cost of these courses for you. The idea is that you take the courses, you understand what Soccer Canada would like us to be teaching the kids, and then you're going to be teaching the kids the proper way. For example, we don't want kids standing in line, right, with one ball, and the one child runs and shoots at the net and gives the ball to the next person goes down. We don't want that. Might have happened when I was a young kid, but now we want everybody moving around with the ball at all times. And that's kind of the soccer, the long-term player development. Everybody's active all of the time. Whoops, sorry, I've got the wrong screen up there. The coaching courses, it's a little bit different this year with COVID-19. In the past, for those of you who have taken the coaching courses in the past, it was in-house, and there was a theoretical component. So you did sort of like classwork to begin with, and then you went outside and run some drills with the instructor. Since COVID-19, we have it's online, and there's two components. There's the online part, and in theory, at some point when everything opens up, there'll be a practical component. But right now, the only thing that's available is the online component. So you can go in, it's on our website under the coaches tab, how to take the courses, everything's there. If you need information, email Curry. But so then if you're the head coach, I get back to it, if you're the head coach and you get the certification, you get the Respect in Sport, and you get your police records check if it's needed, then at the end of the year, we will refund you the cost of the early bird registration. So if you paid the early bird registration fee, basically your child gets to play for free because you volunteered to coach. So it's a little bit of a thank you from the Dragons for stepping up coaching and coaching the proper way. So the next few slides talk about what to do as a coach, a little bit of a checklist. So before the start of the season, you get your team roster from the age group director. And the practice field locations. You send an email to the parents, request the confirmation so that the emails are all correct, because sometimes the emails are not correct. Call the parents who haven't confirmed and pick up your coaching equipment bag on June the 12th. Start of the season, organize assistant coaches. If you can get an assistant coach, that's great, or assistant coaches. Then when you're away, they can take over. You can also allows you to have somebody work with the other kids. Like if you want to work, let's say your older group and you want to work with a goalie, or you have the assistant coach work with the goalie, and you can do that. Certainly a team manager could be beneficial. That person could be reminding the players and the parents of the next practices, the next game. So anything to help you out, don't be shy to ask.
I have this.
During the season, send out practice and game reminders if you don't have a manager who's doing that. Prepare a training plan before each practice, and we do have lots of training plans available on our website. and Andrew's going to talk a little bit about that afterwards. Communicate positions and tactics to the players before and during the game, of course. You want to put them on the field in the right places. Is anybody hearing an echo? Is that just me? I'll turn my mic off in a minute. Fill out the game sheet for U8 and up and hand it to the referee before each game. There we go. After the season, return the equipment, of course. We do give you enough equipment at the beginning and June 12th, as I said. In your bags, there should be a ball for each child, uniforms, cones, discs, first aid kit, pump, etc. Return all that at the end of the year. The kids, of course, get to keep the uniforms. Attend Coach Appreciation Night if we can have it this year. We didn't have it last year because of restrictions, but if we are allowed to have some kind of Coach Appreciation Night, please come and attend that. It's a great evening. We thank you for coaching, and we also like to get some feedback from everybody on what we can do to improve. The handbook is the kind of a little guide that we put together for from the Dragons to tell you everything that you need to know about coaching. It's on our website as well. I would suggest that everybody read through it before the start of the season. It is available in English and in French. Some of the topics covered: code of conduct for coaches, players, and parents, laws of the game. So if you want to refresh your memory of laws of the game, there's an abridged version there. Safety information about concussions, when it's appropriate to be heading the balls and when it's not, what age groups, etc. Harassment policies and game procedures. So there's a fair play commitment for coaches, players, and parents. I just highlighted one here, and I'll just mention this to all of the coaches. All of our referees are younger kids, or most of them are. We do have a few adults who referee, but most of our referees are our kids, your kids. And so please, if you disagree with an official, accept the decision and don't argue the call. And you can always talk to the referee after the game in a polite way to ask for an explanation. But this is something that you can read if you have a minute. It's in our handbook. Fair play commitment for players. I suggest that one of the first practices you talk about the fair play commitment for players and for parents, which is the next one. Basically, we're out there to have fun. Our slogan at the Dragons is 100% fun soccer. We're not a competitive club. I know everybody likes to win, and especially all of the parents want their kids to win. But our priority at the Dragons is teaching soccer and making sure that the kids have fun and come back next year. So if there are parents who are too vocal and who are coaching their kids from the sidelines, for example, and calling out what for them to do, etc., I know that all of them, everybody has checked off the box on the registration form saying that they've read and understood the fair play commitment for parents. But to be honest, I think most people just check the box without, well, I shouldn't say to be honest, some people may check the box without reading. So this is always a tool that you can use if you need to talk to the parents on your team. Some do's. So I'll go over these ones because these I think are important for everybody. Do communicate often with your parents and players. Be prepared for practice. Make it well structured, active, and fun. Okay. Be punctual for games and practice. So show up enough time ahead of time that you can set up your field for a practice or the game. You can put up the nets, etc. Dress appropriately. So in some sports attire, not in a shirt and a tie to come as a soccer coach if you're going to be running on the field with the kids. At games, ask parents to sit on the opposite side of the sidelines from the field from the players. So bring the players across to the other side of the field and the parents are on. That's just a little bit, it helps the coaches organize the players a little bit. Otherwise, they're not running back and forth with mom and dad. Okay, that's if the older age groups at 4, 5, and 6, the parents will be there all around the field anyway. But at the older age groups from 7 and up, it's a good idea to have the kids with you on one side of the field. One strategy that I learned from one of the Ontario coaching clinics was bring a blanket and have it on the field. And if we can do that with physical distancing, probably not right now, but once we get a little bit open, then the kids can sit on the blanket. But right now they should still all be 2 meters away when they're on the sidelines, I expect. All players should get equal playing time, so we don't put our best kids on the field in the strongest positions. Rotate them through on a regular basis, every X number of minutes. If you're going to make a change and you have 2 lines, to change them all. Introduce yourself to the other team's coach before the game. Encourage your team and the opponent, of course. We're here to encourage all kids to have fun. And one of the Coach of the Year awards a number of years ago was given to a coach who received a lot of praise from parents on the opposite teams for his encouragement of all of the kids on the field and not just the kids on his own team. So we're there to support all of the kids. So please congratulate everybody, encourage both teams. Teach fair play, respect, and sportsmanship, and set an example. Of course, these are all generally no-brainers, but I repeat them because they are important. Know the laws of the game, so it's on the handbook. You can read them in the handbook. Take an hour in the evening or bedside reading material if you're not that familiar with soccer. Go over it. As I mentioned, it's an abridged version. Review the code of conduct in the handbook with your parents or players. I already said that. Intervene immediately if you detect inappropriate behavior. So if somebody's talking about bullying, racism, foul language, rough play, you got to get in there right away, all right? And tell the kids that that's not acceptable. So that's setting an example for what's right and what's wrong. Focus on individual player development, not on winning. I mentioned that too. Have a proper warm-up before each activity. It's always a good idea. As I mentioned about the referee there, if you want to request a call of a referee, then you can do so, but politely at halftime or at the end, but not to argue the call. Stuff will go for you and against you in the year by referees. The referees are learning as well, such as we are. When I play soccer, I always make mistakes as a player, and so the other referees will make mistakes, and you just got to suck it up as a coach and accept it. Sometimes you'll win some, sometimes you lose some, but it's really not the end of the world. Right at the end of the game, if all of the kids have fun in a week, they won't even remember what the score was, probably. Praise good play, creativity, and improvement, not just goals. So we want all of the kids to improve. If you're teaching them something in practice, a specific move, for example, encourage them to try it in the game and give them high fives every time they do it when they come off, something like that, right? Insist that at least one parent be present for games and practices at all levels, U4 to U12. And inform the parent if their child is injured. So if a child gets injured during the game and the parent's not there, it's important for you to tell the parent when the parent picks the child up, because the child may not mention that. We also have a list. This is on our website as well, these do's and don'ts, but some don'ts there. Don't criticize or argue with the referee or the other team's coaches, players, or parents. I remember seeing a statistic a couple of years ago about turnover of referees. It wasn't a statistic from our club, but in general, about 50% every year. Excuse me, kids leave refereeing because of abuse from coaches and parents. So we want to keep all of our referees. I think we do a pretty good job of getting the message out at the Dragons, but I highlight that again because we want to keep our referees and we don't want any coaches or parents yelling at them, okay? Don't scold a player for making a mistake. Don't run up to score. What I mean by that is if you're hammering the other team or slaughtering the other team, we do impose an 8-goal maximum at the older age groups when we start recording goals, 13 and up, U14 and up. There are some things you can do to avoid this. So if you're up by, 3-0 or 4-0, then at that point you can switch the players around, get them all to, only score with their weaker foot, implement so many passes before they can shoot on goal. Only shoot on goal from outside the penalty area, for example. This is kind of just touches on sportsmanship. Don't make a habit of directing the game from the sidelines. Allow the kids to play. If you need to correct, you can correct when they come off for a substitution or at halftime. Do not leave a child unattended at the end of a game or practice. Right, rule of 2 in there. I'll just explain that. You need to have 2 parents around or 2 people for if there's a child. So if there's 1 child left at the end of practice and you're the only parent that's left and somebody else is there, get another player to stay with you, or preferably another parent to stay with you until the parent of that other child comes to pick up the child. All right, we like to always have 2 parents when there's only 1 child left. Okay, do not try to win at all costs, and do not take yourself too seriously. We're there to have fun, 100% fun soccer. When you do fun, silly games, especially with the younger kids, They really enjoy that. We've got a little bit of a game procedure here for the U8s and up. I won't get into too much, but basically you provide your game sheet before the game, and game rosters, and it explains that because the game roster shows that everybody's registered with the Dragons, if the referee at the older age group has to issue cards, yellow or red cards for cautions, then they know who to issue the cards against, and our discipline policy follows the cards issued. So we want to make sure that it's issued to the right person. Coaching tools we have on our website, practice plans on the Dragons website. Under the coaches tab, we've got the handbook, and we've got a coaching guide for 2021 physical distancing on the website under About Us and Return to Play. So that's my presentation. I'll pass it over to Andrew, who can talk to you about coaching with during physical distancing, and talk a little bit about his new Active Start program. I will stop sharing my screen and we can take some questions after Andrew's presentation then, all right?
Thanks very much, David. Hi, everyone. So I'm Andrew. I'm the head of coach development for the Dragons, and I'm very excited for all of you to be volunteering coaching. It's something my wife and I have done for 4 seasons. We planned on only doing it one, and it became our favorite night of the week. So we just kept doing it all throughout school. During COVID right now, it's been a little tougher, but thank you so much for doing this. You're really going to make an impact. This is going to be, especially during these times, the best night of the week for a lot of these kids. So thank you. So that being said, we're asking a lot from you. So my job as head of coach development is to give you the materials to make sure you can do your job well. So I'm going to try and share my screen here and show you what I've developed. David, can you give me a nod if you can see that?
Yes.
Perfect. So this is the guide. So as it stands right now, it seems like we're going to have 3 weeks roughly of restrictive play. And by that, we mean no games, and also even your teammates might not be able to interact with each other. So what you're looking at is what we called last year phase 1 and what Ontario Soccer was calling phase 1. And we believe that will be the case this year. So this is for U4, U5. There's one for U6 to U13 as well. And this kind of gives you the idea of what that looks like. So this first page is just your summary. And this here kind of gives you an idea. So for the U4, U5, it's teams of 5, 1 parent accompanying 1 player. And they're each going to stay in their respective areas. So anyone who knows soccer, even if you grew up with it, you kind of have a red flag there where you're like, wait, how am I going to coach this? And that's where I come in. So like I said, we're counting on about 3 weeks. And so this is an example of just a 1-week program. So you have the highlights here, and the key during this phase, just because of those restrictions, is to think of it more as a return to the field and less as a return to soccer. Because we're so restricted, we'll focus more on fitness and just sort of being outside, getting in shape again. And of course, 60% of this program is roughly with the ball, 40% is more general fitness and exercises. This works really well, especially with younger age groups with shorter attention spans. So this is a great way to keep things mixed up and to make sure you hold their attention for, in the U4, U5 case, for the full 45 minutes. So this is an example of that. And each of these 3 weeks I've built, they have different layouts here, different tips on what to focus on, and also different games. So you can see here, there's the big game that I call it, because it's the longest part of the session, is just a foosball game. So red here is going to be trying to pass it to their red teams without it being an interception who gets a shot on goal. It's simplified, but it's still very fun, and it absolutely works within the restrictions. On the left here, you have egg toss, which anyone who's played, you make a pass, then you take a step back, and you see which team can do that the furthest. Going through another one is hot potato, which would involve you playing music from your phone. Yes, I very much try to think outside the box. And if you can play music from your phone, especially songs the kids know, anything from Disney would be fantastic. And then stop it suddenly. Or alternatively, I give you lyrics here that you can sing along to as well. This is just a great simple game. And again, these mini games aren't expected to last long. It's mostly on keeping the attention of younger children. And then over here we have the big game, which is Battle Square. So multiple balls, all players again staying in their respective zones, and they're trying to knock over the cones in their opponent's boxes. Week 3, again, 2 more games. And then hopefully we get out of this by week 4, and this is where the fun really begins. So each of these next weeks I've been building for the past 3 months, and it's just a brand new program really built for the Dragons because the focus is without a doubt fun. So this is an example of week 4. Each one of these has their own theme and can all be played with the equipment that's included in your bag. So just those pylons, there's no side music or anything like that. Anything that needs to be printed out is included in this program. So here's the Middle Ages, and you can see all 4 having relevance to the theme. Here we have a joust, so 2 players charging at each other. Of course, we don't have horses, so they're going to be using soccer balls, and the object is to just shoot it into the opponent's net without crossing this line. So as soon as you add a theme, you immediately create more interest again, right? It's about keeping the players excited and engaged. If players are invested, their retention goes up. I've heard as much as 1,000%, right? If players are interested, they're going to want to learn more. They're going to improve faster. It's just the most effective way. So this is a great way to do that is just by adding themes. Over here, we have a classic. Player comes in and tries to kick balls out of the box. Castle Panic, moving balls across into your opponent's box. And then the 4th section, kind of a break, still stretching. So here, about 75% soccer, 20% not. More just general fitness. And so that's how this program works. On top of that, there's 2 pages following each week giving you thorough explanations on how to run it, how to emphasize the themes, and how to keep it fun focused. So it's something I'm really proud of, and also something that I think will go really far. I'm just scrolling through here some of the other weeks. So we have Animal World, Imagine Dragons, and then at the very end, the final week is a pirate theme, and you'll just print out these necklaces, which has their treasure and somewhat kind of a trophy, and on the back a thank you. So aside from that, just to sort of summarize what David said, the focus, of course, is to have fun. And as a coach, if you can just stay positive and be respectful, that's really the best thing you can do for these kids. And like I said, especially during these times, it's going to be one of their favorite nights. So thank you for helping out.